A lot of people keep asking, why so many men staying single now? Like it's a mystery, like it's confusion in the air. But truth is, it ain't confusion, it's clarity. See, men been walking through the storm too long without an umbrella. Now they finally see the weather for what it is. They not bitter, they just awake. Men are starting to wake up to who they really are. And that's a powerful thing to witness. For too long, they've been living in a world that told them their value only exists when they're useful to somebody else. Be the provider, be the protector, be the one that holds it together when everything falls apart. But nobody ever told them it's okay to pause, look in the mirror, and ask, what about me? That's where the shift begins. Right there, in that quiet moment when a man decides his worth ain't up for debate. He's learning that peace is priceless. That time is currency. That energy is sacred. He's learning that not every person who smiles at him got love in their heart. Some just come to take, drain, distract. But he's done playing that role, done trying to earn respect by breaking himself down. He's moving different now, slow, intentional, selective. He's guarding his space like it's gold, cause he finally realizes it is. It's not about ego, it's about awareness. When a man starts understanding his own value, he stops entertaining what don't align. He stops explaining himself to people who already decided not to understand him. He stops chasing people who made him feel replaceable. That's the evolution right there. When he goes from wanting attention to seeking peace, from trying to prove he's worthy to knowing he already is. See, the world don't always clap for that. People get uncomfortable when a man chooses himself. They call it cold, distant, detached. But what they really mean is they can't control him no more. He's no longer addicted to their validation. He ain't impressed by what's temporary. He's focused on what's timeless, discipline, growth, legacy. He's learning that self-worth don't come from what you own. It comes from what you refuse to tolerate. He's learning that he don't need a crowd to confirm his direction. That silence can be louder than applause. That walking away from chaos is strength, not weakness. Every man hit that point eventually. That breaking point where he says, I'm done being everything for everybody and nothing for myself. That's when he starts building again, brick by brick. Not to impress, not to prove, but to evolve. He starts eating better, moving better, thinking better. He starts surrounding himself with energy that matches his vision, not his history. He realizes that peace ain't something you find in someone else. It's something you protect inside yourself. And that's the thing, when a man finally wakes up to his self-worth, he stops fighting battles that don't build him. He don't argue for validation. He don't chase closure. He don't respond to disrespect. He just moves with calm confidence, the kind that don't need to be explained. You can see it in his walk, in his eyes, in how little he reacts. That's power, quiet power, the type that don't announce itself. It just exists. He's learning that real value don't scream, it shines. That he don't gotta prove his loyalty to people who keep testing it. That love without respect is just manipulation with a smile. He's learning that not everyone deserves access, and boundaries ain't walls. They're filters. Filters for peace, for purpose, for protection. And once that man hits that mindset, he don't go back. He moves different. He talks different. He plans different. His dreams get bigger, his circle gets smaller, and his focus gets sharper. He's not looking for someone to complete him. He's busy building himself so solid that anyone who enters his life gotta come correct or not come at all. See, self-worth changes everything. It changes how you love, how you work, how you move. It teaches you that saying, no, don't make you selfish. It makes you smart. It teaches you that your time ain't free. It's earned. It teaches you that peace ain't a vibe. It's a discipline. So Yeah, men are waking up now. They not bitter. They not broken. They just aware of what they bring, what they need, and what they won't accept anymore. And once a man reaches that point, you can't manipulate him with fear, pressure, or attention. He's already seen what fake love feels like, and he's not going back to that. He's learned that the loudest flex in the world is peace of mind, and the realest love starts when he learns to love himself first, fully, unapologetically, and without permission. Because once a man knows his worth, the world got to rise to meet him. Modern relationships don't hit the same no more. They used to be about building together, trust, vision, growth. Now it's a lot of people trying to look like love instead of feeling it. Everybody posting perfect moments, but nobody building solid foundations. It's like loyalty turned into a lost language and purpose got replaced by performance. What used to be about we became a game of me. People out here falling in love with attention, not intention. They don't want connection. They want validation. They want to be seen, not understood. And that's where everything starts falling apart. Because when love becomes about ego, it stops being real. You can't grow nothing in that soil. It's all about what somebody can get it instead of what they can give. Back in the day, love meant commitment. It meant two people riding through storms, building through struggle, celebrating through success. Now, the minute it gets uncomfortable, people dip. They run to the next distraction like pain ain't part of the process. Everybody want a soulmate, but nobody want to do soul work. They talk about loyalty, but their actions don't back it up. It's wild because people glorify independence, but forget partnership don't mean weakness. You can be solid alone and still need connection. That's balance. But now, people wear cold hearts like trophies. They call it standards, but really it's fear. Fear of trusting, fear of losing, fear of being real. They rather play safe than be honest. You see it everywhere. Relationships turn into negotiations. What can you offer me? Instead of what can we build together? Love turned into leverage. Time turned into transaction. And loyalty, that became optional. People will say, I got you, but only when it benefits them. The second things stop going their way, they switch up. That's why so many people moving alone now. They tired of pretending, tired of investing in situations that don't hold weight. They learned that energy is expensive and not everybody can afford theirs. So they protect it. They don't chase attention no more. They chase peace. They not looking for temporary highs. They looking for timeless connection. And yeah, there's still real love out there. But it's rare because most people don't want to do the work it takes. Real love requires accountability. You got to face your flaws. You got to communicate even when it's uncomfortable. You got to show up when it's inconvenient. But that's the problem. This generation got convenience on lock, but consistency, not so much. People got options now, too many. They think options mean freedom, but really it's confusion. You got folks scrolling through people like products, comparing, calculating, replacing. How can loyalty survive in a world that treats love like a subscription? The moment somebody's energy dip, they swipe to the next. That's not growth. That's avoidance. What's crazy is, deep down, most people still crave that real connection. They still want that one person who sees them for who they are, not what they post. They want peace. They want presence. But they don't know how to get it because they've been conditioned to chase surface. They think chemistry is love, but chemistry fades. Loyalty don't. The truth is love lost its direction when purpose left the room. When people stopped asking, what can we build? And started asking, what can I gain? Love became a hustle. People use it for image, for comfort, for control. But love was never meant to be that. It was meant to elevate both souls. Two people walking side by side, pushing each other toward higher ground. That's what's missing. Purpose. When you got purpose in a relationship, loyalty come natural. You don't betray what's sacred. You don't play games with what's real. But when purpose gone, loyalty got no reason to stay. That's why you see people switching sides, ghosting, disrespecting. They not rooted. They just floating from vibe to vibe, never building nothing that lasts. Modern love got loud, but it lost its depth. People talk about energy, but don't know how to keep it pure. They talk about manifesting, but don't know how to maintain. They want the picture, but not the process. The dream, but not the discipline. So yeah, modern relationships lost loyalty and purpose. But that don't mean love dead. It just means love became sacred again. You gotta earn it now. You gotta match energy, not manipulate it. You gotta be intentional, not impulsive. Real love still exists. It just don't live in every direction. You gotta move through the noise to find it. When two people both healed, both focused, both rooted in something bigger than ego, that's when love gets real again. 'Cause loyalty ain't about staying when it's easy. It's about building when it's hard. And purpose ain't about what you do for each other. It's about who you become together. So yeah, modern relationships lost their way. But maybe that's the reset. Maybe people had to lose loyalty to learn how much it's worth. Maybe they had to feel empty to start searching for something real again. 'Cause when love finds its purpose again, it won't need proof. It'll speak for itself. A lot of men out here switched the mission. They not chasing women no more. They chasing growth. And that ain't bitterness, that's maturity. See, after a while, a man realizes that spending his energy trying to impress, attract, or convince somebody who don't even understand his vision is just wasting time he can't get back. He starts seeing how every minute he puts into distraction takes him one step away from his destiny. So he starts moving different, talking less, focusing more, protecting his peace like it's part of his hustle. He learned that real attraction ain't about words, it's about work. It's about how you move, how you carry yourself, how disciplined you stay when nobody's watching. The truth is, every man hit that point where he realized that the same effort he used to spend chasing women could have built him a business, could have bought him a house, could have fixed his mindset. And once that thought hit, he don't move the same again. He start looking at the world through a new lens. He's not thinking about who's texting him. He's thinking about generational wealth, about legacy, about peace. He's not spending his nights scrolling for validation. He's building systems, learning skills, making investments. He realized that success is the loudest language and growth is the purest form of revenge. The old version of him used to chase attention because he thought that's what made him valuable. But once he started growing, he understood his value was already in him. He just had to uncover it. He stopped seeking approval and started seeking purpose. And once a man finds purpose, distractions start looking small. That's when you see the shift, the calmness, the focus, the hunger that don't come from outside validation. See, growth hit different. It don't happen overnight. It's lonely, it's quiet, it's uncomfortable. You gotta let go of old habits, old people, old versions of yourself. You gotta sit with the pain you used to run from. But when you come out on the other side, you built, you solid. You start walking different cause you know every step got intention behind it. A man in his growth phase don't care about temporary energy. He care about legacy energy. He's not looking for company, he's building an empire. He's not asking for loyalty from people who ain't loyal to themselves. He's not trying to look rich, he's trying to be free. That's a whole different level of ambition. When a man starts growing, he starts attracting differently too. He starts pulling people who respect his mission, not test his patience. He don't gotta beg for love or chase validation. His energy speaks for him. Real recognizes real, and when you build yourself up, you naturally draw on people who move with that same frequency. And yeah, people gonna call it selfish. They gonna say he changed, but change is the goal. The old version of him was stuck in cycles, spending money to impress, giving time to confusion, losing focus trying to please people who never saw his vision. Now he's learning discipline. He's learning to delay gratification. He's learning that sometimes the best way to level up is to disappear and do the work in silence. He understands that chasing women don't bring fulfillment, it brings fatigue. But chasing growth, that brings freedom. Freedom of time, freedom of thought, freedom of spirit. It gives him control over his own life. And once a man tastes that, he don't want to go back to living on other people's approval. That's why you see more men grinding quietly now. They not in the club every weekend. They in the gym, in the books, in their purpose. They building something that's going to outlast attention. Because women come and go, but legacy stays, peace stays, self-respect stays. And here's the thing, once a man grows into himself, love finds him different. He don't got to chase it. The right energy naturally aligns with him. But even then, he knows love is addition, not completion. He's already whole. He's not looking for someone to save him. He's looking for someone who understands the journey. Growth teaches patience, and patience builds power. When you stop chasing what's temporary, you make room for what's timeless. And that's the message every real man learns eventually. Your value ain't in who you attract, it's in what you're building. So yeah, the focus shifted. It had to. Men got tired of playing games that don't build nothing. They got tired of distractions dressed as opportunities. Now they chasing clarity, chasing consistency, chasing elevation. They not looking for comfort, they looking for challenge. Because growth don't come from comfort. It comes from grind, from failure, from discipline, from belief. And once a man locks into that frequency, no attention can distract him. No temptation can pull him off course. He's too busy building something real, a version of himself that no one can take away. Trust used to mean something. It used to be the foundation, the code, the core, the quiet promise between two people that said, I got you. But now, it's like that word lost its weight. People say, trust me, the same way they say, hello. No depth behind it, no history, no action to back it up. And that's where everything started falling apart. Too many words, not enough truth. A lot of men been through that. They gave their loyalty, their time, their effort to people who played both sides. They opened up, shared their dreams, let somebody in, only to watch that same person use their weakness as a weapon. That's the type of pain that changes a man from the inside, not just emotionally, spiritually. It makes him question everything, makes him build walls where there used to be doors. And once trust breaks, it don't just break between two people. It breaks the way a man sees the world. He stops believing words, stops reading actions. He stops looking at smiles, starts watching patterns. That's survival. It ain't coldness, it's protection. You can only be burned so many times before you learn to stop playing with fire. But see, the real problem ain't just the betrayal. It's the false narratives that come after. The way stories get flipped, twisted, painted in a way that makes the real one look like the villain. Society don't protect men like that. They love the drama, not the truth. They'll hear one side, judge quick, and never ask what really happened. So men learn to stay silent. Not because they're weak, but cause explaining pain to people who don't care just reopens the wound. That silence gets misread though. They call it emotionless, detached, distant. But what they don't see is that man's just tired. Tired of proving his heart, tired of defending his name, tired of watching people create stories while he's busy surviving his own. That's the world now. Truth don't trend. lies do. And once a false story catches fire, it's hard to put it out. A man can give years of loyalty. One moment of misunderstanding happens, and suddenly he's the bad guy. People forget everything he stood for. They don't see the nights he stayed up trying to fix what wasn't his fault. They don't see the weight he carried just to keep things together. They only see the ending, never the effort. And that's what breaks him. Not the loss, the injustice. False narratives got power because they feed ego and emotion. They give people a way to avoid accountability. It's easier to point fingers than to face yourself. So instead of honesty, they rewrite the story. Instead of apology, they play the victim. And that cycle keeps spinning, destroying trust one relationship at a time. That's why men start moving quieter. They stop telling everybody their plans. They stop explaining their piece. They learn that not everyone deserves access to their truth, because some people only come close to collect information, not to build connection. And once you understand that, you stop taking betrayal personal. You just adjust your boundaries. But here's the flip side. Broken trust don't gotta break you. It can rebuild you stronger if you let it. Every lie, every false story, every fake smile you survive teaches you how to move smarter. It teaches you the value of discernment, the power of keeping your circle small and your energy pure. You start realizing that truth don't need to be shouted. It stands on its own. You stop arguing with people who already decided their version. You stop trying to prove your purity to folks who profit off your pain. You just keep moving, quietly, consistently, confident that time always exposes everything. That's what growth looked like after broken trust. When you stop seeking revenge and start seeking peace. When you stop telling your side and start living it. When you understand that every false narrative fades the moment your reality outshines the rumor. That's real strength. The world might twist your story, but they can't rewrite your truth. They can talk, they can post, they can lie, but they can't become you. That's what people forget. You can't break what's built on authenticity. You can bend it, bruise it, doubt it, but it's gonna stand. So yeah, trust got broken, lies got told, stories got flipped, but that's not the end, that's the awakening. That's when a man learns who's real and who's just loud. That's when he learns that silence ain't weakness, it's wisdom. And that's when he becomes untouchable, not because he's cold, but because he finally knows what and who is worth his trust. Freedom hit different when you've been living under pressure your whole life. Most people don't even realize how heavy that weight gets until they finally step away from it. The pressure to provide, to perform, to please everybody but yourself, it eats at you. It makes you forget who you are, what you love, what peace even feels like. That's why a lot of men started choosing freedom over pressure. They stopped letting expectations write their story and started building one that actually feels like theirs. Pressure comes from everywhere. Society, family, relationships, even your own mind. You're told to be strong, to never fold, to carry it all without complaining. But that kind of mindset breaks people silently. You can't pour from an empty soul. You can't build a future while you're buried under everyone else's demands. So men started saying, nah. They started walking away from chaos disguised as duty. They started valuing peace more than performance. Freedom ain't about running from responsibility. It's about reclaiming control. It's about saying, I decide what matters. Because when you live your whole life trying to meet somebody else's standards, you never get to know your own. You forget your own rhythm. You forget what makes you feel alive. And that's the kind of loss no money or validation can fix. The real ones started realizing that success don't mean nothing if it costs your sanity. That being needed by everybody don't mean you're respected by anybody. So they stopped overextending themselves. They stopped sacrificing peace for approval. They started protecting their time like it's sacred. 'Cause it is. You only get one life, and the goal ain't to survive under pressure. It's to breathe in freedom. Freedom is moving how you want to move, speaking how you really feel, living without fear of judgment. It's doing what aligns with your spirit, not what looks good online. It's not about comfort, it's about clarity. You start choosing solitude over noise, purpose over distraction, silence over arguments that don't lead nowhere. That's real liberation. But getting there ain't easy, 'cause the world will call you selfish the moment you stop breaking yourself for them. They'll say you changed when you start setting boundaries. They'll call it arrogance when you finally start respecting yourself. But what they don't understand is you're not running from life, you're protecting your peace. You just got tired of pressure being your normal. That kind of freedom don't come from money or status. It comes from awareness. Once you know what drains you, you stop letting it near you. Once you know who you are, nobody can tell you who you should be. You stop explaining yourself to people who never cared to understand you in the first place. You realize that walking away ain't weakness, it's wisdom. Every man who's been through pressure knows the feeling, that knot in your chest from trying to hold everything together, that fake smile you wear to make others comfortable, that exhaustion from always being the strong one. That's why freedom feels like oxygen after years of suffocating. You start laughing again, sleeping again, thinking clearly again. You remember what joy feels like. Freedom teaches you balance. It shows you that peace ain't passive. It's a daily decision. You wake up and choose not to entertain drama, not to argue with ego, not to chase validation. You choose presence. You choose patience. You choose purpose. And every time you do, life gets a little lighter. Pressure comes from living for the world. Freedom comes from living for yourself. Pressure says, be perfect. Freedom says, be real. Pressure says, don't fail. Freedom says, learn and grow. That's the shift. When a man starts valuing freedom, he stops needing to prove himself. He stops begging to be seen. He just moves with quiet confidence, the kind that comes from knowing he's aligned with something bigger than approval. The beautiful thing about freedom is that it don't ask for permission. It's not given, it's claimed. The moment you decide your peace matters more than pressure, you start seeing life differently. You start moving slower but stronger. You start speaking less but meaning more. You realize not everything needs your reaction. Not every situation deserves your energy. So yeah, freedom over pressure. That's the code now. It's about letting go of the need to control everything and learning how to flow with faith. It's about understanding that your worth ain't measured by what you produce, but by who you become. And once you taste that kind of freedom, once you feel that stillness in your soul, you never go back. You stop fighting the world and start building your own. You stop trying to fit in and start standing tall. You stop living for the noise and start listening to the silence. That's when you finally understand freedom ain't the reward, it's the purpose. And every step you take away from pressure brings you closer to peace, closer to truth, closer to yourself. So yeah, you gonna see a lot of men walking alone right now. Not because they can't love, but because they finally understand what real love should feel like. They'd rather walk alone with purpose than sleep beside confusion. They'd rather build legacy than beg for loyalty. And when you see that man in his zone, quiet, focused, unbothered, just know he's not lost, he's found his peace, found his power, found himself.